Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I'm not sure where I'm going today on this podcast. I wrote a bunch of things down, not sure which ones I'm going to cover, and I don't know that there's going to be a real specific theme to this podcast. A topic that I want to start off with is cooking videos, in particular, my cooking videos. If you watched the bacon broccoli cheddar soup video, which I can link to right up there, that I put out last Friday, well, assuming you're watching this within a week of when I made it, would make it last Friday. But let's not get hung up on that. Anyhow, I changed my style of shooting the video a little bit. Instead of me talking while I was actually preparing the food, I just recorded myself preparing the food. And then I edited that so that I felt it was fairly nice and tight, and then recorded the narration over it. It's a style that if you've watched Papa G, he uses, and I even reference him in the video. I love Papa G, love his channel, he's a great guy. I think this is going to be the style that I use going forward for a couple of reasons. First off, I'm able to really focus on the cooking and what I'm doing. Oftentimes when I'm narrating it as I'm cooking, I'll screw up, I'll say something incorrect, I'll say tomatoes instead of potatoes or something like that. And then when I go to edit, I have to figure out, well, what do I do here? I've got a good shot of video, but I said something wrong. Or maybe I say something that's really great, but it doesn't sync up real well with what I'm doing. So because there's not that extra element of me talking as I'm preparing the food, it makes editing way, way easier. Because I don't have to work around the timing of when I said something versus when I actually did it on camera. It allows me to cut the video nice and tight, I hope, including sort of time-lapse type things, and then I just record the narration over it. And I can rehearse it, I know what I plan to say, and hopefully it comes off seeming fairly spontaneous and not overly rehearsed. But I think that's probably going to be a method that I use going forward, at least on some videos. I don't plan on doing any background music though. That's kind of not my thing. I did that in some of my early chaffle videos, and people just did not like that. So you don't have to worry about background music. I'm going to take a little diversion from food, go a little bit off topic here, and talk about Amazon. I have sort of a love-hate relationship with Amazon. I have an Amazon distribution center that is located about 45 minutes away from me. That is kind of cool because for a lot of products, if I order them before, I think it's about noon on any given day, I get same-day delivery. That can also be a little bit risky because there's a $35 threshold on the order in order to get same-day delivery. So oftentimes I'll be below that threshold, and then I'm going through my wish list trying to find another item. Oh, I need to find something that's $12 to get me over that threshold. And sometimes I just wind up ordering stuff that I probably don't need. I've also noticed that I've gotten really entitled when it comes to delivery times now. If I see something and the delivery is a week out, I'm like, what is this? 1980? I also love Amazon because in my experience they've been really terrific. Whenever I've had a return, a bad product, I ordered something maybe by accident, or maybe I ordered something and then found a better price. Love their return policy. Love the fact that if I take whatever I'm returning to a Kohl's, I get like another 25% off, 25%, one of the two, coupon to use at Kohl's, which is kind of neat. But occasionally Amazon makes some decisions that baffle me. First off, we had a few months ago, you may have seen articles about this, how Amazon cut the commission rates for people like me that are affiliate marketing partners. And this resulted in about a 60% decrease in my Amazon income per month, which, anytime you use any of my links and place an order, whether it's for that item or a different item, I get, this small commission. And it's great. It's like zero work for me, and it really helps to support the channel. But they cut the commission just across the board with no real explanation as to why it is. And, that's kind of irritating, but, what are you going to do? It's still very little work for me to include a link, so I guess, I'll take what they give me. But here's one that really baffles me. In light of the fact that they're, saving money on the commissions, looking at costs and things like that, I ordered the new Amazon Echo Show, I think 8-inch, so it's big screen, figured good for the kitchen, it's supposed to have really awesome sound, And right now we've got one of the smaller, earlier Echo shows, and my wife likes to pull up recipes on it, and it's fairly small, not a great screen compared to the 8-inch. So I ordered the Echo Show 8-inch. It was like $100 off a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago. And it didn't arrive. So they sent me another one. And both of them wound up arriving on the same day. I opened the first one, and the screen was cracked. I have no idea how this happens, because it's a well-packed box, but there was a crack that just ran one side of the screen to the other diagonally. So I boxed that back up, opened up the other one, went to set it up, and it wouldn't let me set it up. So I called Amazon, and they told me that the one that I was trying to set up was the first one they shipped, the one that got lost, so they deregistered it. And I said, okay, we'll just re-register it. I mean, if you're able to turn it off with software, why can't you just turn it back on with software? And they said, nope, they can't do that. They would send me another one, a third Echo. They told me to take the first one I opened, which would have been the second one they shipped. I'm sorry if this is getting confusing, but the one with the cracked screen, they said to send back. I said, what do I do with this other one then? And they said, throw it away. And this just boggles my mind that you've got this piece of hardware that I think normally sells for $250, and they're just telling me, throw it away. I cannot believe that from a cost standpoint that this makes sense. Maybe it does. I mean, I'm not Jeff Bezos, so maybe he knows better than me. But furthermore, as smart as Amazon is, and as effective as they are at doing what they do, why would you have a kill switch for a piece of hardware that you can't then turn back on? It's like having a light switch that only allows you to turn off the lights. Anyhow, this story has nothing to do with food, pretty much nothing to do with serious keto, but, you know, with the quarantine and everything, and I don't go into an office anymore, there's sort of limited people that I can actually tell a story to, and you are those people right now. This next segment is not really keto in the news, but it is food and news related. And sometimes I have had viewers tell me that they consider me the Alton Brown of keto. And Alton Brown is in the news this past week. He actually managed to get a couple of stories that I saw about him. The first was political. He was talking about how he's voted throughout his life and how he voted in this election. And I would think that Alton Brown would be smarter than sharing that information. Because, you know, we're in this situation right now in this country that is very divided politically. You have family members that won't talk to each other because of differing political beliefs. And to share your political belief, I think, is a pretty risky proposition, especially if you are an entertainer. You run the risk of offending close to 50% of your fan base. So I just don't see a whole lot of upside to that. But I don't want this to devolve into any sort of a political conversation down in the comments, because I've already said this is really a cooking show. So what you just witnessed there is about as political as you're ever going to see me get on this channel. So Alton, I think he made a rather foolish move first, sharing that bit of information. But then he got into this Twitter conversation that has been subsequently deleted, where he started talking about the Holocaust and Auschwitz. It seemed like it was sort of a flippant, joking sort of thing. It made no sense in the context of the discussion, and it was also, in my opinion, not a real well thought out choice for something you tweet. In fact, I think for the most part, Twitter is dangerous. I think Twitter is an opportunity to say stupid and or hateful things in 240 characters or less. So that's why I think I have a Twitter account for Serious Keto, but I've never looked at it. And I think the only time I used it was perhaps linking to a recipe that I'd made early on in my career here. So you won't find a lot of me out on Twitter. But I went back and I started looking at some of Alton's tweets lately, and they're a little bit concerning. It would appear that on election night, Alton was having a bit to drink. So I'm just going to randomly read off some of his tweets that night, and tell me if this sounds like something someone would do sober. I'm blaming pineapple for everything. Then in all caps, everything. Barbecue, beer, freedom, all caps. I'm not drunk, you're drunk. Be cool, honey bunny. Nice Pulp Fiction reference there. Who's with me? Then another tweet, all caps, I said, who's with me? I think I blacked out. What did I miss? Turn off the lights and run 23 Slim Jims through the juicer. I want you to go out right now and buy Fritos and cat food. Then we have just pages of all caps stuff here. Canned fruit salad and Cheese Whiz with Hershey syrup and gin. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Network reference. Grape nuts rock, especially with half and half and scotch. Swiss frickin' meatballs for everyone. Has anyone ever actually met a Jolly Rancher? All right, that's kind of clever. You think you know what crazy looks like? I've got marshmallow fluff and 3 feet of garden hose. You want to dance? I have 17 cans of Duncan Hines frosting and I'm not afraid to use them. Back the hell off. I'm thinking about piping SpaghettiOs into stale Twinkies and eating them naked in the shower with a bottle of Jaeger. And those are just the tweets. If you get out onto his Twitter account and read through some of the responses that he made to some people, it's mildly disturbing. We've hit a point in our history where our tolerance tank is running pretty much on fumes. So we'll see what happens to Mr. Brown. At the end of every video, I mention if you want to help support the Serious Keto Test Kitchen, click that join button and see what memberships are all about. And I talk about memberships periodically during the podcast. I apologize if I'm being redundant because I know I talked about them a little bit last week, but I'm starting to make a few changes to the memberships. I want to add some additional perks, and I'm kind of working through that. There's some logistical aspects on my end, and then also whenever you want to change your perks, you need to go through YouTube's approval process. One of the things that won't change is there will never be a paywall between you, the viewers, and my regular videos. The only difference on my standard videos is that if you are any tier of channel member, you get to see them, a couple of days, maybe even a week in advance. One of the things that I can tell you that I'm going to do, and this will also be across all tiers of memberships, is I'm going to start doing giveaways. Probably not monthly, but at least once a quarter, I will do some sort of giveaway specifically for members. And these are going to be sort of special things. These are going to be me curating a care package, if you will. It could be keto items. There may be a cookbook in there. I may throw in some pop culture sort of goodie or collectible. If there's a shelf-stable sort of recipe that I make, like my barbecue rub or my candied pecans or umami powder, which I haven't done a video for yet, maybe I include those. Maybe I include some little kitchen gadget, something like that. But I've decided that for the first one, which I'm going to give away later this month, it's probably going to be in the $50 to $100 worth of goodies in this particular box that I'm sending out. And at least for the first one, I'm probably going to have to limit it to the US. So I apologize to the people outside of the US, especially the Canadians, but I'm a little bit fearful what shipping is going to be on this particular box. So I'm going to hold off on Canada for this one, but maybe some sort of smaller item giveaway in the future I will include Canada in. So how I will handle this is probably on Cyber Monday, I'm thinking. I will make an announcement to all of my channel members, and all you'll need to do is reply to that message in the community section, and you'll be entered into the drawing, which I'll then do towards the end of the week. So really, if you want to get in on this and you're not a channel member, all you need to do is just do the lowest tier, the 99-cent channel member, and do it for the month of November. You're good to go. But you may also decide that it's kind of cool getting some of these early videos and some of the other perks. And for those of you who are not members, I will still be doing giveaways, probably again once a quarter, in partnership with one of my affiliate marketing partners, like Keto Mojo or Chalk Zero or Perfect Keto or someone else. Last week, I mentioned that one of the things that I let my channel members do is make requests for topics for the podcast. And one of the requests that I got was, how do you feel about MCT oil? And the answer is ambivalent. I don't really have strong feelings about MCT oil one way or the other. It's not an oil that I would cook with. I'm tempted to combine it with another oil, whether it's olive oil or avocado oil, and make some mayo out of it and see how that turns out. Essentially, in my opinion, MCT oil is just a way to get some additional fat into your diet, whether that's, in a fatty coffee or whether it's in fat bombs. Although if I were doing fat bombs, I would probably lean towards coconut oil. I do find that if I have too much, it sort of accelerates things through my body, if you know what I'm saying, and I think you do. But the question about MCT oil kind of led me to a slightly different place, sort of philosophically, about keto. I think that some people get very hung up on chasing the numbers, chasing the reading on their Keto Mojo. And I get this. I'm a fairly competitive person myself. So years ago when I was doing Atkins, and this was back when we used those keto sticks, those pea sticks, it was how purple can I turn this thing? And now with a Keto Mojo or any sort of a blood glucose and ketone monitor, yeah, there's something kind of cool about getting a big number. But we're not doing keto to get a big number. We're doing keto for the health benefits. And among those benefits, we've got weight loss, but also just the lack of inflammation, the mental clarity, how we feel overall. So for the people that are always messaging me or leaving me comments saying, hey, no matter what I do, I seem like I can only get my ketones up to 0.3, 0.5, 0.6. What am I doing wrong? I would say maybe you're not doing anything wrong. If you're feeling good and you're making progress, what difference does it make? But if that number does mean a lot to you, put some MCT oil in your coffee. Anyhow, that's just sort of my position on it. If you've got different feelings about it and keto and why we do it and whether it's especially important to have a high ketone reading, let me know down in the comments. I think it might be an interesting discussion. In terms of last week's Easter egg, it was Kylo Ren. Some people thought it was Darth Vader. No. It's close, though. It's Vader's grandson, so, keeping it in the family. But Kylo Ren. So I think that's about it for this particular podcast. I had a couple other topics, but as I started to think them through and actually started to even record some of them, they kind of bummed me out. Well, now that I've told you that, I guess I was going to talk about Sean Connery, Eddie Van Halen, and Alex Trebek, all in such a short period of time. Just 2020, stop it, please, okay? We've had enough. So, gentlemen, rest in peace. And the rest of you, thanks for watching or listening.